Welcome back to the beautiful shores of Milwaukee. This is Mythinformed, a Mythicist Milwaukee podcast.
Welcome everyone to Mythinformed with your hosts Brian and Dimitri. Today on the show we have an exciting foreign guest, a popular and entertaining Aussie YouTuber with over 400,000 subscribers. This YouTube star, lovingly referred to as Bearing, makes videos which cover sociocultural topics, feminism, social justice, and politics. His videos feature a good bit of biting satire and hysterical commentary. He's also known for being the world's biggest cunt. He wrote a song called The World's Biggest Cunt. Because he's also a musician. Welcome, Bearing.
Hello, how you going? Good to be here.
Fantastic. And we also wanted to give a quick shout out to our lovely patrons.
Our new patrons. And
we love you all.
One of them we're going to get to patron questions in a moment. But Bearing, I wanted to start off with my first question, which this one's been eating at me for a little bit, and I hate to just throw it out at you because it's a doozy.
I'm nervous.
Because it's really been getting at me, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Is it okay to be white?
Yeah, it's perfectly okay to be white.
Are you sure?
It's good to be white. It's not bad to be white. It's okay. It's okay to be any color, mate. Are you fucking racist?
That's the thing. Yeah,
you're such an egalitarian.
It's hilarious. Now, that when I asked it as a question, as opposed to this statement, it does sound racist, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah. It does, yeah.
It really does. And
what if it's on a piece of paper? Is that racist?
What, the question or the statement?
No, the question. Oh, wait. Oh, statement. Oh, I get it.
The question does sound racist.
Because it was a statement on the paper.
So for people that don't know what we're talking about, recently, and Bearing covered this as well as the news and other places, there was I think this came out of kind of the poll, the politically incorrect portion of 4chan, where they got the funny idea to put flyers on, and this was on university campuses, it's okay to be white.
It was one particular campus.
No, but I think this happened at a lot of different places because I heard it happened at high schools, and this was organized at a bunch of different places, and this created a shitstorm. Am I getting it right, Bearing?
It came from the week before. There was and this was at one particular campus. I think it was in Washington. There was a flyer put up that said "Don't apologize for being white," and that caused a big ruckus. And so I think that was Paul's reaction to that sort of getting some negative attention. So they decided to put out "It's okay to be white" just to see what would happen with the media. No, I think they got the reaction they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Your video covering it is just amazing. I mean, you have some news channel and this person saying, this is a crazy flyer and it actually said, "Is it okay to be white?" And your pause in your video is fantastic, and you're like, "What? Why is this controversial?"
Yeah,
it's really crazy how things like that, it can create such a stir right now. I mean, why do you think that is?
And did you hear the in their news report they cut to the bit where it was supposedly a parent from the school where he's gone. This is just disgusting. It's evil behavior. Just get back in your hole. I don't believe for a second that was a parent. That was a cameraman or a fucking editor or just something. There's no way that was a parent. No normal person says that.
Did you see the chick at the end of that video? She was she looked Indian. I don't know, but she was she was
yeah.
And she was like,
nuts.
I was deeply offended, and she almost started to cry. And
the one that said it explicitly says, "I'm not welcome here."
Yeah. No, that one. Where on the sign? Please explain to me.
It explicitly says it's okay to be white.
And to
learn the meaning of explicit.
It's just like the epitome of confirmation bias. I mean, she even says, "I've been on this campus for an entire year and I've felt like this, even though there's no evidence. I've seen no evidence of this, but I've just felt it. And now here it is. This is my smoking gun."
How do we get past the because the criticism, and I can hear it already, is you got three, Bearing, I'm going to assume you're a white guy. You got three white guys sitting there, and you're discussing things that have nothing to do with you. You're taking advantage of this privilege. How do you not understand how people feel?
How the fuck does it have nothing to do with us? We're three white guys, and we're discussing a sign that says it's okay to be white. It has everything to do with us.
That does. I'm saying the counterpoint that it's always thrown at us is you don't understand what it's like to be able to read that sign and not be white, so you don't understand what world we're living in. And that
how do we react to that? Fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's ridiculous. If you're going to get offended at that, fuck you.
Yeah. No, that's straight to the point, I guess.
Well, why dilly dally?
I don't know. I mean, it's this weird. We live in this gray universe where we are neutral of a sort. We don't really, we think some things are ridiculous, some things are not, but at the end of the day, we want to attract people of all, of all beliefs to the conversation. So we are really neutral in this shit. And that's the question is we always are kind of trying to check our, what do you want to call it, Brian? Biases? We always check
you've got to get out of your bubble. Yeah. Everyone has their personal biases and a bubble that you can get into, the one that you like to be in. It's okay to have a home base, but you got to visit other places.
Well, that's actually one of the questions I wanted to come in today with is, you do have a lot of content that's, let's call it questioning some of these bedroom, not even bedroom feminists, just in general, the third, fourth wave feminism. So true. If we take the devil's advocate argument, and we talked to, my wife says, watched your content because I made her. And she's like, okay.
Tool the patriarchy you are.
No, she's like, he makes good points. But then her next question is, well, why not draw a distinction between first, second wave feminism, which I think we can all agree had really good points. And, we do, maybe in our spare time and full time for you, Bearing, shit on modern day feminism. But then doesn't that draw people like her away who vehemently supports first, second wave, but then doesn't hear that being supported versus, third, fourth wave being knocked down?
Look, I'm quite. I don't have anything really against first and second wave feminism. I think it is the crazies of the modern third, and some are even calling it fourth wave feminism that really I have an issue with. It was actually a MGTOW guy put a really good put it to me really well in a podcast a few months ago, where he said. And I don't fully remember it, but it's not actually feminism. It's the concepts that first and second wave feminism sort of purport to push that we support. It's not actually first and second wave feminism. If you look at things like the what were they called, the suffragettes, they were cunts. They were absolute cunts. Like. They were blowing shit up. They were causing all sorts of shit. We wouldn't accept that sort of behaviour these days. What we do accept and what we do support is, yes, women should have the right to vote. Yes, women should be able to work under the same conditions and the same reward as men. We support equality. Now, equality, and it's the line that's pushed to us today, the absolute bullshit line that feminism is equality. Let's not confuse the two. Mm-hmm. We support gender equality. Now, that's not necessarily feminism, especially these days.
Right.
And it might be some person's feminism, right? If they define it however they want, but it's certainly not all versions of feminism that we've seen.
Well, the argument that I always hear is that you don't know. We're in the moment. We're in 2017. We don't fucking know how people are going to think. The people who were in the late 1800s and early 1900s, because your argument is, all right, the suffragettes, they were cunts. So what the fuck? We wouldn't accept them today. But what if 90% of the population back then was like, these people are morons, we're not giving women the right to vote. And now all of a sudden today, with the light of people of the 21st century, we're going, well, of course women should have the right to vote. So that's the weird little dichotomy there is, we're not far enough removed to know if their insane views are actually insane or if we're just looking at it at the lens of the 21st century. Did I just confuse everyone?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I think, did you watch the Karen Strawn, Cenk Ungar debate?
I didn't know. Was that at Politicon or something?
No, it was just on YouTube. It was supposed to be like an hour and a half, but Cenk was late. And I mean, you can watch it. I think Cenk was also admitted to be hungover, but Karen Strawn just absolutely destroyed him and dismantled him
because he's a shitty debater and a shitty.
I mean, she knows her history, and what her argument was is that, you know, because some of the argument goes, no, you have to kind of be a cunt, you have to be a rabble rouser in order to kind of break things open and move it forward. And what she was saying is she was critiquing even the first wave, the suffragettes, by saying that there was also a more moderate movement for suffrage and in women's rights that she said that the suffragettes kind of eclipsed, and that, no, you don't have to say, I owe all of my rights and freedoms to these women, because there was a more moderate movement that could have done the same thing.
Exactly.
So, are you trying to say that the women who were wearing pussy hats in the women's march are overshadowing the women who are really fighting for, you know, equal pay and whatever,
and
the
men
equality?
who are wearing pussy hats,
which are transphobic, by the way, because not all women have pussies.
Oh, really?
Right.
Interesting.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Right. And which kind of brings me to one of the things. Speaking of like the Women's March, the leader of the Women's March, or at least one of the co-chairs, was Linda Sarsour. Are you familiar with that? Her?
Yeah, I am.
Brian, why bring her up?
Well, because like, why? I mean, why wouldn't if those that were going to condemn MythCon, right? And Dimitri and I felt like we've faced an inquisition before. On a podcast.
It's okay, we go to sleep at night.
But why not condemn the Women's March? Why not try to deplatform Linda Sarsour, for the terrible comments she makes about Ayaan Hirsi Ali?
She's an anti-Semite too.
She doesn't deserve her vagina. A woman that's suffered FGM, is that not weaponizing FGM? Why is it just Sargon of Akkad for an obnoxious tweet to Jess Phillips? Why not everyone that's done that? And my only answer is it's politically motivated 100%. I mean, what they can really say is, man, I just hate Sargon's politics, and this is the place I'm going to hang my hat.
I think that's exactly right. They direct their outrage where they choose, and they ignore equal people that are equally as obnoxious and equally as offensive as or more than Sargon, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because to go to that argument, in order to be consistent, you're going to have to go after everyone that makes these comments and then deplatform them all and say that now you don't get a voice anymore. It would just be so much better if they just say, look, I hated Sargon. It was a terrible choice that the guy is, he doesn't have anything good to add to the debate. Terrible choice. At least that's an argument that we can debate. And
it's not an argument that they can then use to deplatform. It's not an argument that they can use to whip up this moral outrage, and that's what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, Sargon was interviewing with Armin Navabi, and Armin brings up the point that that the fact that they're using this, it's like, since outrage is almost the only voice that they hear. Like it's the voice that they always condemn and use, but at the same time, it's the only thing that they hear, because some of the normal arguments are just dismissed. The only time that they'll kind of pay attention is when you say something offensive.
Yep, that's true.
Armin was also not coming out, with droves of support either, as far as I know. So
but I think Armin did a great job of criticizing him. That's the way you have a debate when you're somewhat opposed to this. You don't come out hot.
No, he did. I'm more so talking about, we champion the message of competing ideas deserve platforming, and you should talk to people who you don't agree with. He obviously, right. and his whole thing is, he's from Iran. He has an incredible story about, the abuse that he's received during Islam. I would say mental abuse. That he received while being under, the arm of Islam, and then he came out of it, and now, he's talking about how it's very difficult to be an atheist in countries like Iran. Well, that's that speaks to freedom of speech. So why was he not, openly supportive of a free speech debate like the conference that was put on? That is a question that I still have, because I respect the guy, but at the same time, I have no idea why, openly he didn't come out and, support it. And frankly, that's a question for everyone.
He did on a different podcast. He said they shouldn't deplatform him.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing, Barry, I was going to ask is people draw a distinction between and I don't want to make comparisons, but like you and Sargon, they're like, oh, Baring's a nice guy, Sargon's a piece of shit. This is where you do a bow. Do you think that's it's very interesting because you guys have different styles, but the underlying message is kind of the same. So is it that his delivery is just less palatable to people who are sensitive, or is it that he just comes at these issues harder with more oomph, and you kind of just you graze along the surface? What do you think that difference is?
I haven't heard of these people. I haven't heard these statements. I'm usually put in bed right next to Sargon with the level of cuntiness. But I mean, I certainly think that we do approach these things differently. I mean, Sargon was a big influence, on me. He's the guy I was listening to before I got into it, and he's the guy I sort of listened to and said, "Geez, I can do that." and I think my personality is just I come from more of a place of comedy than I don't know what you'd call Sargon. He's straight to the point. He's quite serious, and he's all about exposing things and discussing principles and politics and that sort of thing. But I mean, as far as examples that people could hold up to say, this is why we should deplatform this guy, I've got plenty. Trust me, they'll come up with something. They'll find something.
No, I think it might have been Eli Bosnick that you're talking about, because he'd kind of forgiven Baring, but exempted Baring, but kind of pinned Sargon down. Although he did do a 3.5-hour stream with Sargon, and that went politely. And
this is what I don't understand: is people make these distinctions, and I'm like, okay, you wanna hate against anyone who's even remotely by a nanometer right of center. All right, well, fuck you then. You have to accept people for who they are. And frankly, I mean, you guys are not even in the U.S. You're, whatever you want to call yourselves, classical liberal or what have you. And actually, yep. I think that brings us to a really good question, which was submitted by our newest patron, the Pissed Geologist. So he says, what, if anything, it's, by the way, great name, Pissed Geologist.
P-Y-S-T.
P-Y-S-T. He says, what, if anything, are the major differences between Australian and North American social issues, I guess, as you see them?
Social issues as in what?
No, fucking everything.
Like as in social justice and some of the things that are going on to either limit free speech or...
It could be anything. It could be how black people are treated, how women are treated, how... I don't know.
No, I think they're much the same issues. I mean, it's like fashion. It's like clothes. We just get American stuff. 6 months later. But it's many of the same issues, and sometimes it's ridiculous. I mean, about a year ago, I remember I was driving through the city, and there was the streets were clogged up for some reason, and I found out there was a Black Lives Matter protest. And I thought, what the fuck, a Black Lives Matter protest? This is in the middle of Melbourne, Australia, the other side of the earth, to America. And I thought, okay, so maybe they've sort of done a copycat thing of the American Black Lives Matter, and they're protesting for the Aboriginals that have received poor treatment by the police or whatever. No. They're actual American Black Lives Matter guys that came to Australia and organised a protest in support of Black Lives Matter America.
What?
Wow.
So it had nothing to do with Australia.
It's solipsism.
Nothing to do with black Australians. This was a protest in the middle of Melbourne to protest the treatment of black people in America. This is it's just fucking ridiculous. And so that's what I mean. It's the social issues, I think, are very much the same, largely worldwide, and it's just there just seems to be this this fever that people start jumping up and down about in America, and then it just spreads probably over the internet to every other fuckwit in the world, and we've all got to deal with them.
How did you find out? Did you go into the crowd with a recorder?
No, I didn't.
Big size.
I looked it up on the internet, and sure enough, it said this is a protest in support of Black Lives Matter America for against the treatment of black people, and it quoted all the the black guys that have been shot and all that. And I just thought, fuck, this is just so stupid. Like, this is so stupid. We've got our own black guys here that I don't think are treated that badly, but there are instances that you could point to, just like Black Lives Matter do, to whip up some sort of excuse for a protest. You could do that, but no, it was the American guys that we were all upset over.
Wow. Now, you mentioned Aboriginals. That seems unique to Australia. Like, what is that? And is anything going on with there? What is the Aboriginal population?
Aborigine.
Still, there. Yeah. Could you explain that to me? The American that just doesn't know.
Well, what do you mean, Aborigine?
Like, is there discrimination?
Are they people of the bush?
Yeah. Are they like in the American Indians will have a reservation? There's Canadian Aborigines. There's Aborigines of all sorts. I mean, I think it just means native person. But what's the story with them? Look, they do have they were treated very, very badly in the past. So when Australia was colonised, I think it was 1780 something that the first fleet came. That the first, I think it was 12 ships came from Francis
England.
Drake and those guys.
Who's that? I don't know.
I think it's the explorer that first found Australia.
But it was a penal colony. That's what every American knows.
It was Captain James Cook who found Australia.
Yeah. And then he was killed.
Came, and they basically they basically started shooting Aboriginals, and they killed a whole lot of them. And so that was obviously absolutely terrible. And then later on, they were taking Aboriginal children who were were mixed white Aboriginal children. So they're doing all sorts of things like rubbing charcoal on their faces to make their faces more black, and it was just terrible stuff.
Oh God.
And they'd take full-blooded Aboriginal children and put them in homes for Aboriginal kids, and they'd sort of try to teach them to sort of live in white society and that sort of thing, and it's very, very sad stuff. That's horrible stuff. And so they have a thing called the stolen generation, which was a generation of kids that were taken from their families basically, and taught to live as a white person. Of course, it largely fucked up. It did damage to Aborigines, obviously that sort of stuff will, but we had our old Prime Minister Kevin Rudd made a national apology to them all, which obviously doesn't make up for it, but I mean that's where it is. But I think much the same as or as what I understand of American Indians, the alcohol and the sort of stuff that came with white people really didn't agree with them, and right. I think to this day it's still is a real demon to them, more so than white people in Australia, because they do have terrible problems with alcohol.
Yeah, that happened early on too. Even the War of 1812, like Tecumseh was the leader of the Shawnee Indians, was vehemently anti-alcohol because it was already a problem then. Yeah, and it's continued on. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Now, do you guys have a similar civil rights movement to what happened in America as well? Or did yours follow the United States, or were you a precursor?
Yeah, but I think the demographics. I mean, I can speak for myself and probably most listeners. I have no idea what the percentage of, say, black people are. I know here it's 12%, but roughly.
I'd say there's much less in Australia. I don't know what the figure is as well, but there's not. It doesn't seem there's as many as in America. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there was a civil rights movement. If there was, it would have been a piggyback, almost copycat version or a follow on to America.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But specifically in Australia, you mentioned a couple times on the podcast that you guys don't have free speech, or you don't have a First Amendment in the same way that we do. So what
No,
free,
we
are
don't.
there?
We have implied free speech. So we have a number of court precedents that give us free speech, but it's all this sort of interconnecting game of mousetrap that we do have free speech, but it's this sort of delicately balanced sort of set of court precedents and other things, and there's no law or regulation or anything in Australia that you can look at that says you have the right to say whatever you want, like there is in America, and that's shockingly scary.
So, do you have hate speech laws? And you recently interviewed a guy named Goodfella, and I think that was put in jail for a tweet, although he's from Scotland. But I mean, is there anything equivalent to that in Australia?
Yeah, there is. So there's a national act called the Racial Discrimination Act, which outlaws offending people on the basis of their race. I'm not joking. It outlaws offending people on the basis of race.
Wow.
And we've seen a number of court, just ridiculous court cases that have kept people in court and have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars because of stupid shit. But there was a couple of university students in Queensland that probably be a couple of years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago. They went to use the university library's computer lab to get some work done, and they walked in and there was it was full of Aborigines, and there was an Aborigine course instructor or professor or whatever you want to call them, and they walked in and the professor said, "I'm sorry, this is Aborigine only time in the computer lab." And so they was like, what the fuck? And so they've gone away, and one of them posted on Facebook something to the effect of University of Queensland is getting rid of discrimination with more discrimination. And then I think the other one posted something like, walked into the computer lab today to find out I was not welcome because of my white skin. I wonder where the white supremacy computer lab is. and the professor that told him to get out basically launched a complaint against them under the Racial Discrimination Act and kept them in court for it only was recently settled, but they were in strife for a couple of years for innocent comments like that in America just no issue, So it's ridiculous, and we've recently had a postal survey vote type thing about gay marriage in Australia, because we don't yet have gay marriage, and as part of that they enacted a temporary law that effectively expands the Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act, which is the one that gives us which outlaws offending people by race, which is the one that got the uni kids I was just talking about. They effectively took that law and expanded it to gender identity, to sexuality, to all the other good stuff. And so there was a sunset clause on that law, so it's now over. But what it's done is it's given future politicians a great precedent to pull the law back in permanently, and the party that looks like it's going to win the next election has who will be the Attorney General has been making all sorts of comments about how he would like to do exactly that. So in short, it's not looking real good for Australia.
Wow. Okay, so I've seen your videos on this too, and they're interesting. There's more than one, and you initially, I think, weren't supportive of the bill because you were worried about this. You're worried that okay, I don't want to. I'm pro gay marriage, so that's fine. I'd vote for that, but you felt like there was a rider on the bill, or at least a threat of a rider that would limit free speech, and you didn't want to vote those in together.
Absolutely. So that was my initial stance, and and so I said I don't want to vote for gay marriage because I believe that it's going to come with these other things that can potentially affect freedom of expression. And then and after that, they actually enacted this. It was called the Marriage Postal Survey Further Safeguards Act or something, and that act actually did the things that I was worried about. And so all of a sudden I was in this position where, well, I've said that I'd vote no because I'm worried about these things piggybacking this law, but then they've gone and made laws out of these things I was worried about anyway.
Oh,
and so that sort of put me in a position where, well, obviously I've got to reconsider my position. And I spoke to a few friends, and what I ended up doing was just opting not to vote, because I think in the end it was even with the fact that this law had already been put into place, I was in a position where either way that I vote, if I vote no, then it's my vote can be used by a politician to misrepresent me quite easily, because the question that was being asked was just, it was too simple. It was, do you think the law should be changed to allow gay marriage? And that's it. Mm-hmm. No further information, nothing about how it's going to be changed or what it's going to entail, or nothing about that. And so either way that I was going to vote, I thought, well, it can probably be used to misrepresent my position. So I chose not to vote.
No, that's an interesting point. So initially it was, okay, I don't want to vote for this because there's a potentially live grenade. And then the live grenade, so to speak, goes off. But now you're afraid of being misrepresented. And it's interesting. I think one I was reading in a magazine, they call that the Mott Bailey technique. Have you heard of this?
Yep. I haven't. No, I haven't. Tell me about it.
Like it's for example, like if you have like a question, something like some draconian policy about like some quota or mandatory diversity training, people will assume that if you're anywhere against it, that you're opposed to like women being into science, or you don't want people to be nice to minorities. So exactly, you have like a strong position where, like with everyone agrees, like women are people, right? But that's not really politically useful in any way. But then you've got a weak position, like we should police microaggressions. Okay. And then when you use your weak position in most debates, but if they try to argue about it, then you retreat to your, like the Mott, so to speak, to discredit them. So what? You don't think women are people?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, there was, that was exactly what they were up to. Now, as I said, at first I thought that it was going to be, I thought that the hidden thing was going to be the effects on freedom of expression, including freedom of religion and speech and all that sort of stuff. But then, they threw that grenade at us anyway, albeit on a temporary basis. But it gave the next guys a real good precedent to bring what they say they want back in on a permanent basis.
Barry, I like the fact that you brought up freedom of religion, because our humble roots are very secular based. That's kind of where we cater to an extent to our audience, but we also expand our focus. You guys in Melbourne have an event coming up in Feb, which we're in no way promoting, but it's the Global Atheist Convention. And,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and so some people, namely one person, accuses us of ruining this event and all of atheism. So I guess beyond that, just what's the culture like in relation to atheists to secularists? Is it as bad as we perceive in the U.S., or is that par for the course?
Sorry, what do you mean? In terms
of
what?
Like in Sweden, it's some insane percentage of how it's rarer to meet someone who's a creationist than it is to be a non-believer. So what is it like?
Look, in Australia, there's far fewer religious people, far fewer than in America, and I think that the religious people that we do have are are far less what's the word I'm looking for? Insane about it. You know,
zealous.
So it's not a big thing. You know, there's I think there's a lot more atheists in Australia, and the religious people that we do have. I don't think I've ever met an Australian creationist. I don't think I've ever met one.
God,
well, Ken Ham, isn't he from Australia? But he's over here.
That's a fucking good point. That's a good point. He's probably the only one I've heard of. Now, I've never been in a pub or out somewhere and met someone who said, "Yeah, I'm a young Earth creationist." That hasn't happened.
What must it be like? I just want to imagine living in that utopia.
Well, it's funny, like at the MythCon, right? Where there was one person that was saying that this is a conference, to self-congratulate yourself for not believing in God, and which I thought was funny, but to the point, about 10% of the people that showed up to MythCon were religious. So I think that the idea of bring whatever viewpoint you want to and engage in debate respectfully, like people answered to that, and then that was cool. That was fun. It was fun debating and talking with them.
But there's crossover. The interesting thing is, Baron, your content is kind of all over the place, right? You do a lot of socio-political things, and a lot of it is entertainment, joke-based, which is awesome. But it's not, you don't come out there as, I started as a secular, YouTube creator, and now I've branched into other things. You happen to be a YouTube creator, you talk about stuff, and you just happen to also be secular. So that's never been like an MO for you, right?
No, it hasn't. No, I'm just, I'm very simple. I just talk about the same sort of stuff I did previously. I just do it with a microphone in front of me now. So I was never here to make any great point. I was never here to be an activist or anything like that. I just like to make smart ass remarks about people online.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
When did you decide to kind of go full time when you started? Because at some point you probably only had 100 subscribers. Like at what point?
Yeah,
3 subscribers.
I decided to go full time when it's a somewhat long story. I had a business with my brother, and we were commercial estate agents. We specialised in selling hotels and motels and resorts and large tourism and leisure based property. And that business did really well, to the point that we got strong interest from a very, very large worldwide estate agency. One of the really big recognizable brands that approached us and said, "Look, we want to build a tourism and leisure wing of the business in Australia, and we want you guys to kick it off. So here's an offer to buy your business and join us as directors." And we told them to fuck off, and they kept approaching us. And after about 6 or 7 months, we finally accepted an offer, because they offered us good enough money and good enough terms, and so we sold the business to them and sort of amalgamated it into their business and built an arm that specialised in that sort of stuff for them. And I fucking hated it. I absolutely hated it. I hate the corporate life. So so we were in the middle of Melbourne, right up at the top of a fucking skyscraper, and being dicks who wear suits every day and drink lattes and all that sort of shit. And I hate it. Previously I was working out of the same spare bedroom that I work in now to do YouTube stuff, and that suited me. And so it was while I was working for this large company that I started the YouTube channel, just as something to do, and it just skyrocketed. Like, I think my first 100 subscribers I had in a couple of days, and then after the first week it was 2,000 or something.
Damn.
And so it went from there, and I went full time when I looked at the YouTube business, and that was out earning me, on the real estate business. I said, well,
really,
I don't like it. Yeah, piss off.
How many subscribers does that take? Ballpark.
Well, it's not about subscribers. It's about plays. But yeah. I think at the time I had about 80,000 subscribers.
Wow.
No, it's always interesting because I'm sure there are listeners who are maybe aspiring stars, and they like to think, what does it take to get it to move ahead in this business? And you have an amazing success story, just like a lot of the people that we talk to. It's you built something out of nothing, and you have content that people continuously return to. So that's we our hats off to you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. The question is where does it go from here? Is that content the area that you're in right now? Is that where you want to stay? Are you we recently saw you made this Trump video which was pretty funny, and that was an original piece of creation that you did. Is that a glimpse at the future for you?
Oh, look, I've always had bits and bobs like that, and I think it's sort of it is in keeping with what I do normally. It is a bit of a smart ass take on current events and current influences and that sort of thing. So it's just a different rather than commenting on something that's happened in reality. It's sort of inventing this crazy reality which mocks the actual reality. So it's always hard to answer that question. Where does it go? What's next? I mean, I don't have any grand plan. I'm not launching a fucking a line of
perfumes,
apparel.
Let's do this. Bearing.
I don't have any great plans. My plan is to keep doing what I'm doing and hopefully grow and get a bigger audience and have fun. It's about having fun.
It sounds like what you go for. Obviously, you're funny as hell in a lot of these videos, but it seems to me that even when you're being funny, and a lot of times you're just being serious too, and just with satire, you care about what you're doing, like that you're picking topics that you really feel passionate about. Is that right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it would be hard to do this. It would be very, very hard to fake this. I think if you didn't believe in what you were saying, and that's funnily enough, that's the criticism that people like myself and Sargon get a lot of the time from feminists and from these sort of social justice minded people. It's these guys jump on this train that just is scathing towards people who care and people like feminists and rah, 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 because it's profitable. Yeah. And that is such bullshit, because you couldn't fake it. You really couldn't. It just wouldn't work. You have to believe in what you're saying, and you have to be passionate. Otherwise, you're not going to be convincing.
I'm actually getting in here. It's Sean. I'm cutting in for a question here, Bearing, because I think we talked to Declan Black the other day, and it was a really good conversation. And the more and more I study this, I look at these mini bosses, the people on the other side.
That you think you coined that term?
Yeah, I don't even want to say their names; it's a waste of time. But those people. I think it's just an act, Bearing. It's got to be an act, because who is that crazy?
I know what you're saying. Like, yeah, I've often thought that too, but they're too consistent. I mean, how do? And I can understand if that was maybe an act because it was. Although I've just spoken against it. I mean, I can understand if it was an act because it was super profitable or something, but it's not. No one listens to them, or hardly anyone listens to them.
You do.
I do. Yeah, that's true.
I find myself doing it.
They're just too consistent to be fake, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bearing, that while I don't agree with that view, I had believed that they're also following their conscience. That they believe that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, they're just crazy motherfuckers.
Yeah, but you're always gonna find some crazies from one side or the other. You're either gonna get you're insanely regressive leftists, or you're gonna get fucking your white kill all black people supremacists. So.
But the people that are good at their jobs, like whether you're an accountant or a nurse or doctor or a YouTuber, it's the ones that love their jobs that are the best. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. If you're an accountant that hates your job, you're probably going to be a mediocre accountant.
So I'm not an accountant anymore, bro.
Well, right, but scoreboard, again, that was the point I was driving with Declan, is when you look at Bearing subscribers and you look at, Armored or Sargon, whoever, and then you look at the mini bosses scoreboard, like they're getting destroyed. It's got it. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do you keep doing it?
It's not for the money, too, right? I'm sure you could kick ass if you were going out and selling Amway and ripping people off, but that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, but then at the same time, how do you pivot that into policy? I mean, the weird thing is, yes, I completely agree that, you know, folks bearing like yourself are, let's call it in the mainstream when compared to these regressives. But then you just talked about policies that are being enacted in Australia and in the U.S., which are regressive in nature. So what the hell? They could have 1,400 subscribers, but how are you able to potentially influence, you know, Australian policy or whatever it is? Do you feel like you have any kind of reach like that where you can get to people who can make decisions?
Some. But there's the world of YouTube and the actual, you know, real world of politics, etc., are very different. I mean, you know, Australian politics is infested with feminists and with these social justice-y types, and it's really frustrating. So, I have a lot of influence with the, you know, the man on the street, with the average Joe, who is unfortunately not in politics. So, you know, but they are the people who vote, and they are the people who speak to you know, the members of parliament and that sort of thing. So I think that people like myself and Sargon are slowly sort of having this creeping effect on politics, perhaps, but it's certainly not any dramatic, fast result like we saw with YouTube.
Yeah. Have you ever done a demographic breakdown? Figure out how many Aussies listen to you versus, you know, Americans, whoever.
Oh, look, we get that sort of stuff with YouTube analytics, and it's about 51 or 52% Americans listen to me, and I think Australians are only about 12% of my audience, and then there's about 20% from Britain, I think.
Damn. That must be that crossover audience between you and Sargon.
Yeah. Did you ever break it down religious-wise? No, because sometimes when we were on there, like I could see some of the religious people saying, "Oh fuck, MythCon again."
There's no way. I mean, you can't tell. YouTube's not going to give you analytics.
Well, no,
who's a Christian.
You can survey your own audience, though.
Exactly. Yeah, you can survey your own audience, and I haven't done that, but it would be an interesting exercise.
Yeah. What part of what I'm worried about? Do you know the magazine, Australian magazine called Culette?
No.
It's a fantastic
You have to, because
magazine.
Brian prays to this fucking thing, so now you need to read it.
It's a fantastic magazine. It's a really good.
What's it called?
Culette. Quillette.
It is. I will say it's a really good read, and given your political stances, I'm sure you'll love it. But it's like Brian's Bible.
One of the points is that they were talking about some of the lessons from the French Revolution, and how they'll take kind of the political actors at these moments that are just completely. They don't describe reality. And what they were saying at the French Revolution, that they had decreased the powers of the nobility so much. But yet they kept using the term privilege. They're privileged, they're privileged. But then by the time that they're going to the gallows and going to the guillotine, like they almost have no privilege as it is. And, you know, this language that identifies, you know, this is, I'm quoting now, specific groups is, it's dangerous. And the social force of privilege, you know, it kind of divides and cuts society into the good, oppressed victims, and the wicked, you know, the victims and the victimizers, you know, like everything that the former might do the latter. And by this logic, it's merely self-defense to reach out and attack them, you know, preemptively. And like these are the French Revolution is a testament to the dangers of this thinking. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you're kind of a bulwark against some of this. And that's why I kind of really respect your work.
Well, I mean, privilege is a... I mean, it's a really dumb term in the kind of societies we have these days. I mean, you know, our societies are largely based on equality of opportunity. You know, there's no real, you know, there's no real aristocracy anymore. You could make an argument with the the Clintons and the Bushes and that sort of thing, but ultimately they've got to be voted in, don't they, by the common man?
Right.
So there's no sort of aristocracy as there might have been.
But they do influence public policy.
But they use privilege, though. They use white as privilge, cis as a privilege, man as a privilege.
When you say
that's
they,
fucking ridiculous. White privilege is fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's or male privilege is fucking ridiculous. We've all got opportunity to make whatever we want with our lives, and I think that the privileged, as they call them, are the people who have seized those opportunities and have done well.
Oh, absolutely. I've talked to enough people. I mean, just the other day I was talking to someone, she's a black female, and we were talking about business opportunity. She has an aspiring business that is just, I mean, her small kind of, her small business is exploding. And I go, do you know how many, we talked about social issues, and she's like, yeah, black people are still oppressed to an extent, socially. Like there's some inbred racism. It's not institutional in nature. I go, but from a business standpoint, do you know how many grants are available to you? Not only, I mean, even if you were just a woman, like that would be, leaps and bounds. But being a black woman or a minority woman, it's just unbelievable. I mean, if you have a good head on your shoulders, holy shit, do you have a head start compared to, I don't know, call it an average white male who can't apply for any of these things. It's
true.
There's nothing you can say about privilege at that point. If anything, it's privilege in the opposite direction. No? Yeah,
or I mean, if you look at the numbers of females graduating with university degrees these days, as opposed to males, yet there's no scholarships that are solely focused to males. There's a ton, in the opposite direction. Although, there's more women sort of ending up with degrees. Did you see there was an interview the other day with Tucker Carlson and what's her name, Ivanka Trump?
Oh, I did not see that. But go ahead.
That was really, really interesting to watch, because I mean, she came on and she she was talking about women in the workplace, and not enough women hold these crucially important positions, that are going to be important going into the future, and we've got to do something about it. And Tucker, he did a great job. He said, well, hang on a sec, we've got if you look at the number of women that are coming out of college with these with degrees as compared to men, the balance is in favor of women. Now, if more women are coming out of college with degrees, yet they're not holding these crucial positions, doesn't that suggest that they're coming out of college with the sorts of degrees that don't lend themselves to taking those sorts of positions? They're in different jobs. Now, doesn't that come down to a freedom of choice thing? That's a free will thing. Mm-hmm. You can't expect to come out of college with a fucking what do you call it, a gender studies degree and become the CEO of fucking Apple. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So at what point, do you impinge on people's free will, freedom of choice to do what they want, because you're concerned about the numbers of female CEOs? It's a really stupid question.
Yeah. And that's what Sargon was saying at MythCon. Like, he accused Thomas of being a social engineer. That, you want to see, you're basing these, your equality of opportunity on equality of outcome.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fucking stupid. And because if you have equality of opportunity, then you're not going to have equality of outcome. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
It's true. And I think Jordan Peterson makes the argument too that, I mean, in the most egalitarian countries, in the Scandinavian countries, you see even a bigger, with all the attempts that have been made to help gender equality, if you will, you see a bigger difference. And if you're in the poorest countries, if you're like in Zimbabwe, or you're in an extremely poor country like Lesotho, everyone is working there. Men and women. You want to see a 50% workforce get extremely poor, and everyone has to work or they don't eat. You know, and I don't think anyone wants that. I mean, I think we want the choice. I mean, if you want to be an artist, you'd better be in a first world country.
Well, again, it's so we're in the first world. We've fixed a lot of problems, not all problems. Don't get me wrong. People just are bored. They just need shit to be angry about.
That's true.
That's like what it feels like to me. It's like, what can we complain about today? I have food. I have a PlayStation. Fuck. Trans people are being, you know, what?
The Cubs won the World Series too, so you can't even bitch about that anymore.
Yeah, I don't. You know, someone's gonna listen to this and be like, "He's anti-trans." That's not the case, and I'm not a trans person. I don't know if there is really discrimination, but I can't walk into some neighborhoods. I'll get fucking mugged. You know what I mean?
Is that because the business is saying no trans people?
Oh, no. I'm talking about like the patrons. Like someone would kick my ass, or someone.
Yeah,
do you think so?
But see, there's a lot of people these days that will take that and say, you see, look at this. There's this institutional oppression against trans people, and that's not true. If it was institutional, it'll be written into the policies of the bar that there's no trans people, and that doesn't happen. There's very little institutional discrimination.
No, I agree, and I tried making this point earlier, and I one of my former coworkers who absolutely love. He's one of my really good friends. He's a black dude, and we were talking about institutional racism, and I was like, well, we've basically vanquished it. And he's like, you can't make a statement like that. And I said, give me an example, and we went back and forth. He wanted me to give him an example that it was vanquished. I'm like, I can't prove a negative. This is stupid. Yeah. So finally, I
proved to me that Santa Claus doesn't exist.
Yeah. I was like, well, I can't prove that God doesn't exist. You can't do that. So finally, I got him on that, and he's like, okay, well, he has some kids, and he's like, well, my son, went to school, and February, I don't know if you knew this, but in the U.S., it's Black History Month. So Feb is Black History Month. He's like, all of Feb, he goes to school, comes home, nothing really, Black History related. March rolls around, boom, comes home with a leprechaun or whatever the fuck for St. Patrick's Day. He's like, what is happening? He's 5, 6, whatever he is. Black history is American history, which I totally agree with him on. So his point was the fact that it's not being taught in schools, and he goes to a really good school system too, is a form of institutional racism to an extent. And I wouldn't say it's racism, but it is racism by omission. You can't. I think it's completely bullshit that we don't, just like Germany does a really good job of teaching the Holocaust and shaming the fuck out of every German that goes through the school system about what their, ancestors did to the Jews. We should, to an extent, do the same thing about, Black history in the U.S. We just don't.
But why don't just promote Black history and promote German Jewish history? Because the shaming, I think, can go way too far.
I think it's to an extent. You have to shame the fuck out of people.
What do you think, Baring?
Well, hang on a sec. I mean, so is he saying that? So what does Black History Month mean? What happens in Black History Month? Yeah, is it just a name and then business as usual? Does nothing happen? Is that what he's saying?
Well, in Black History Month, you would see this on the History Channel, for example, that they would make an effort to talk about the Harlem Hellfighters or something like the Black Regiment in World War I, and different Black history that didn't often get covered.
Or Rosa Parks, whoever. I mean, people who are fighting for equality. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think. Look, I think I agree with this statement. Black history is American history. I mean, it's like I'll give you an example of the opposite. I forget who it was, but it was one of these social justicey people the other day was talking about genocide and what the white man has contributed to genocide. And one of its examples was the two nuclear bombs or nuclear bombs that were dropped on Japan at the end of World War II, and that's an example of what the white man has done to the Asian, to oppress the. Well, hang on a sec, isn't 12% of America black? Yeah. Why did the white man? Why is it a white man thing? I don't understand that. I mean, are you supposed to take? Yeah, it baffles me. It really does, because if you want a unified country, then be a fucking unified country.
Yep.
I don't think you should be focusing on one particular sector of your country or one particular race and honing in on it, because very hard to do because they're part of the whole country.
Yeah, well, right, and not all races have done this. You know, the Mongol Empire. Should we convict all Asians because of what the Mongols did? I mean, they have a massive empire in the 1200s to 1400s.
I always use that example. I'm like, do I get reparations because the Russians were enslaved by the Golden Horde in 1200? That's how much time does it have to pass before I lose my claim to? I've always made this point, and you know, some of the people who champion this point have a good claim. They say, you know, there were racist laws up until the 1990s, so that's not too far removed. That's like 20 years. And in which case, yes, you have a generation that's living under that was oppressed. So I get, you know, I buy into a lot of these arguments. The extent to which they should govern our lives is totally different. And it comes back to the point that Brian made at the very beginning. It's okay to be white. That sign is not an offensive sign. What the fuck? How is that offensive? That I don't understand that.
What sort of racist laws were there up until the 90s?
Yeah, we have something called, I should say, it doesn't exist anymore. It was something called redlining, where there were essentially some neighborhoods that black people simply couldn't move into. So it was it had to do with the banking system where they wouldn't give loans to people. So they were essentially forcing segregation. So they were like, all right, black people, you can get loans and you can buy property here, but these are shitty areas. So your property value is always going to be low versus white people. You want to move out to the suburbs? Cool. Here's your loan. So,
but hang on a sec. So how does that work? So you're saying it was to do with the banks giving loans. So let's just say I'm a black guy and I go to a bank and I say, hi, I've looked at this property here, and it's in a zone where I'm not supposed to buy. I would like a loan, please, to buy this property. So you as the bank,
it wasn't overt. Like they didn't know that there wasn't. I would just be like, I want to live in this neighborhood, and they'd be like, sorry, we can't give you a loan today.
So there's not laws as much as maybe the banking institution is afraid.
Hang on a sec. A bank is a business that wants to make money. So are you saying that the bank would pass up the opportunity to make money?
I think the argument
because they were racist.
Yeah, but here's the argument though. Say you have this huge neighborhood and you're a bank and you have loans and liens against those properties. So if they default, you can take the property. But if too many black people, the idea was, moved into that neighborhood, it would devalue the neighborhood, and then therefore your capital, what you could take back of people foreclosed, went down.
And I get what Bering is saying. It's a business; they can do whatever they want. But I guess the fact remains.
But there's laws against it, breaking anti-discrimination laws.
Now, but if you want a true free market society, which I think, Bering, is where you were going with this, you could have these douchebag banks essentially being racist, and then these people could go to a bank that would give them a loan and it'd be fine. I guess what it boils down to is, since slavery, and I know we're like spiraling around slavery for a large part of this podcast, but since slavery was abolished, black people just haven't had a chance to build up enough capital in this country to really be a viable economic source. So these banks were being dicks in the 90s because they really could. Then the government came in and said you can't do that shit, and then they stopped. But those effects are still being felt today. A lot of people will use that argument, and it's a good argument. But the question is, how long can you use it? There has to be some sort of point where you stop the victim culture. Maybe it's 20 years. I don't know what it is, but someone's got to give me some sort of objective fucking definition.
But hang on a sec. So like I understand what you're saying. So there's a bank that may have a number of mortgages lent out for property in a certain area, and it was in their opinion, it was to their benefit not to lend to black people, because then their other mortgages in that area might be affected, right?
Devalued, yes.
Well, here go ahead.
So what about the rogue bank? What about the new bank? What about the small bank that doesn't have any mortgages in the area? If there's no law,
that's a good point.
Why couldn't they go to these banks and surely that bank would say, hey, fuck you, we're gonna lend these people this money.
I don't know. Actually, I have it here just so we're not taking out of context. So in the U.S., redlining was the practice of denying services either directly or through selective selectively raising prices to residents of certain areas based on the racial or ethnic composition of those areas. While the best known examples of redlining have involved denial or financial services such as banking or insurance, other services such as healthcare or even supermarkets have been denied to residents as a result of these redlining practices. Now, reverse redlining occurs when a lender or insurer targets particular neighborhoods that are predominantly not white, not to deny residents loans or insurance, but rather to charge them more than in non-redlining neighborhoods where there is more competition. So, so it looks like it was going all the way up to the 80s. There was a big example in Atlanta in the 80s.
And then we had the Fair Housing Act. So, no, Baron, you make a good point in that you could have had a business go, all right, well, we're just going to take all this available business because everyone else is a racist. That is a very laissez-faire free market approach to it. Apparently there weren't enough, and there were so many people damaged by this. And this was like before the internet. So, I guess if you're black and you go to a bank and you're like, well, they won't give me a loan, and then you go to another bank, they won't give me, like, at some point you run out of banks or you just don't know where to find one.
Yeah, fair point.
No, it's a fucked up history, but but I think and everyone believes that we're on the right path. And the question is how much do you equalize the playing field? Have we equalized the playing field? Maybe to an extent. Maybe we're 90-some% there. I don't know.
But I just feel that some of the social justice warriors that are pounding us on Twitter trying to deplatform Sargon and Armored and Shu or
they go the
Bering
opposite
or
route.
whomever, right? And dying to deplatform would just actually take that time that they're pounding on the keyboard and probably checking it and frothing at the mouth and actually go and tutor people that are in need of help. Actually like drive people, that don't have cars to destinations, actually do some real social justice instead of bitching.
Well, right. It's all bullshit social justice that they're fighting for. Baring, I had one question for you on this topic before we get off. I asked Declan the same thing. Now I know, the mini bosses, you know who they are. I know what they're doing is they're, in a lot of cases, I really think it's just over dramatization. Like they're really bad actors in a bad play, but I know they're waiting for the response from you and Sargon and whoever, that they're targeting. So I asked Declan this question, and I was wondering if I can ask you as well. What if, because I think the best way to handle these people is to just completely ignore it, because the only time they actually get views is when they're actually talking about you guys or you guys make a response or whatever. What if you just took like 6 months, like you, Armored, Sargon, the Quartering, whoever, all these people just ignored them and didn't cover them for 6 months? What do you think would happen?
Been there, done that. I tried that with Christy Winters. I got to a point with her where I just thought, no, fuck this. This is ridiculous, and so I ignored her. I think I got up to about 3.5 to 4 months, and she was at a point where she was making a video about me every couple of days, and the shit that she was saying about me, because she knew that she figured out that I wasn't responding to her, and so the absolute outright bullshit that she was coming out with about me was just, it got to a point where I couldn't ignore it. I had to defend myself. So I've tried it. I mean, it might be a different thing with Steve Shives, but I mean, let's face it, Steve just such a funny cunt. You can't ignore him. I mean, he's just that insane. And I think that even if the likes of myself and Sargon and the Quartering, even if we did ignore him, there'd be others that fill our shoes.
Yeah. Well, that's what Declan said too.
Have all the fun.
Yeah, it was what Declan said too. He's like, they would probably start acting out, and there you go. There's proof. That's bizarre.
I listened to your stream about Steve Shives with Eli and everything too, and there was a claim made that Steve got super angry and employed the block bot after he made like a video 5 crappy things about the men's right movement, which he made apparently like either in like February or March of 2016. I went back. It took me a long time to scroll through the entire Block by Steve's hashtag, but that was up and going in the summer of 2015, full bore, long before he did that video.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long time.
So I think
Steve had a really good day yesterday. I'm not disparaging this, but I don't know if you heard, but we had some local state elections yesterday, and there was we had our very first governor or mayor, but they're a trans person who was.
Is that right?
Yeah, who was elected. Which kudos again. It's breaking the barrier. That's fantastic. But Steve was like, creaming his pants after this happened. So yeah, you should, if you can see any of his social things.
I bet is that one of the good trans people? Because that's what I want to.
He's selective in who he likes as a trans person.
Bearing, that's where you gotta I would love for you to survey the demographics of your audience, because we had one of your trans listeners, lovers, Red Fox, who I didn't plug last time. Absolutely came to MythCon, just spoke very highly of you, enjoyed the event, and I told her that I would plug her when the next time we talk. So there you go. So check her out on YouTube. But it's cool commentary.
Red Fox, was it?
Yeah. WRED Fox.
And so the most surprising thing there, Dima, was the fact that you were following something on Steve Shives? Like what?
No.
Did you see a tweet or something?
This is the insane thing, is that I was looking up, I think it was maybe Facebook, where I was, it's one of the trending stories, and then you can scroll down on the story, and his shit was like third or fourth on that list, and I was like, holy fuck. I mean, I don't know if it curated it for me, which would be weird. Although I did just check, I didn't know and for anyone listening, you can do this. You can go into, say you're using the Facebook app, and you go into settings, and then you can go to ad settings, and it'll show you how Facebook characterizes you as a person. So,
really?
Holy shit!
There's a yeah.
That's the next step, man.
It's so interesting. There's so many different categories. Which
how does it characterize Steve?
I have no idea. You can only check yourself, obviously. No. But it's awesome. So I had things like lives away from family, lives away from his hometown, expat
never
family.
leaves his house.
No.
Did it say blowhard?
Personality medication.
Masturbates 4 times a day.
Yeah. It knows how much I'm on RedTube. No, it was. I very much recommend for everyone to go and see how Facebook characterizes you, because it's really interesting.
That's scary.
I think I was labeled as a liberal on here, which is funny because I'm also, because of MM, known as a neo-Nazi. So so Facebook doesn't understand me clearly, or Steve Shives doesn't. One or the other.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's the next step, man. That's what these apps are going to start to do is, instead of rating your Uber driver, you're really going to start rating one another. It's scary. Yeah. It really is going to start happening like that. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I'm going to have a look at that.
If it gets, Bearing, one of your new videos is going to have to be what categories are you? It'll be
that is a good video idea.
Birthday in October, engaged shopper. I don't even fucking shop. I don't know how it knows this. It's that's a lot of weird stuff. So Bearing, I have a hard hitting question for you, which it's not really, but I always wonder this when I talk to YouTube personalities. Your music and how you come, because you really have 2 songs, one of which I really like, which is like the most. He has a
lot of songs, dude.
No,
he has albums.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your cutaway music your ending music. You know what I mean? So one just gives me a visual image of a bear running, which I think is brilliant. And that's your in the middle of a show music. I fucking love that one. And then you have your ending one.
In the middle of a show music? What's
Bearing.
Yeah, that one. Bearing. Yeah, I love that one.
Well, that's because I have a video of a bear running over the music.
Yeah, well, it could, maybe it is that. I don't know. But now I'm primed, and I think of a bear running when I listen to that.
Don't play it in Alaska.
You're goddamn brilliant. And then you have your ending music, which whatever. It's.
What was the question? Where'd you get it?
What do you mean? Whatever. That's one of my favorite ones.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, where did you get that? Did you make that music?
But I was gonna ask where that came from. Fuck. What? I'm not allowed to be critical. I don't care.
That was terrible.
The bearing music I actually didn't make. That was made by a guy called what's his name? I couldn't remember his name.
You gotta plug him, man. If he made music for you.
Yeah. No, he's called Wolven Music. I think he's from California. So he makes some of those sort of like he makes the. I've got a song that parodies, Christy Winters, and I think I've got one about Steve Shives and a couple of other people. So he makes that electronic music for me. The ending music was taken from that's a band I used to front called No Credit.
What is front? I don't know what that means.
Sorry,
what does fronting mean?
I was a singer and
you were like the lead vocals.
Yeah.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah, and so that's out there. There's a couple of EPs and that sort of thing out there from that band. But I've also got I also do these days. I just do acoustic stuff. Just in the same studio as I'm in now.
But that's your signature now. Like that's the. I mean, everyone who's like you're huge in the YouTube world, so that's like what you're known for is the musical, interludes or the outro. So I always ask this question, like, where'd that come from? I think the fact that you were in a fucking band and that's your music is something that your listeners should absolutely. I don't know if they know that. That's big.
A lot of them don't. A lot of them are surprised, and I sort of, I don't know. I like that. I like it's funny seeing. Is that Bering actually singing that? It's funny seeing people sort of realise that every now and then.
Well, now you got to tell them what the band is so that they can stalk you on SoundCloud or whatever.
Yeah, the band's called No Credit.
No Credit.
And yeah. Yeah, so if they search that on I think on Spotify. I think we're on Spotify.
Right.
Otherwise, I think it's at nofuckingcredit.bandcamp.com. They can buy the album.
That's awesome. No, well, just like Brian mentioned at the beginning, or maybe it was me. You do musical numbers in your videos, so you're not just an entertainer. You're not just a comedian. Well, you are an entertainer, but all of these things kind of amalgamate, and you're like a one-man show, basically.
Yep. Spot on.
Except for when he collaborates with Tits.
Yeah.
And many others. And the live streams, that's an interesting concept. We're thinking about trying out, some live streams. Like those have been fun, kind of listening to you banging around with like a couple other people. We enjoyed the friended one.
Yeah.
I like the one where I just watched the one where you took a what was it, a feminist quiz or something? Oh no, it was were you sexually assaulted or something like that? And you took this quiz on her behalf, and then at the end you're like, "Hey, tits." Apparently you're a rate or whatever it was.
Yeah. Just there were some pretty stringent rules, weren't they? So I think one of them was if you've ever looked at a woman's breasts, while talking to her, fucking hell. So everyone in the world is a sexual assaulter. We're all rapists,
including other women, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Tits, he's not a misogynist. That his girlfriend's name under Sugar Tits moniker. So just to
you need to
cover our own ass.
You need to make that claim just so people don't think we're fucking misogynists.
Right? Yeah.
They already think we are.
That's her name, and that's the name that she likes. That's the name that she chose. And so, if you for a second think that's misogynistic in any way, then you're a fucking misogynist.
I like it.
Women have a right to choose these days.
Oh, that's awesome, Barry. We love the fact that we got a chance to talk to you. For those in the ether that are listening. Bering happens to be a high draft pick, a possibility for MythCon 2015. 2015. MythCon 5 2018. He's going to travel in the past and participate. So yeah, we're evaluating opportunities and possibilities. And that's so people could potentially look forward to that. And even if not, I think you should come to the U.S. and come to Milwaukee and hang the fuck out with us because we have good beer. Yeah. And beer in your country is like, $12 a pint or something, and that's I think a crime against humanity. So.
Yeah, but beer in your country is like fucking 0.5% alcohol, man. So that's all relative,
I don't know where you're getting this misinformation. You've been talking to Christy too much. I think.
If we started him out with Old Milwaukee's Best,
Brian.
would be Yeah, it's
That's-
ironically
that's
the worst. It is.
We average like 7 or 8% here, so if we want to talk about watered down beer, you know,
can live with it.
Forster's Australian for beer over there. No, this was awesome. Thank you so much, man. And yeah,
you.
we'll look forward to either talking to you again or hopefully seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Good on you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Mythinformed. Mythinformed is brought to you by Mythicist Milwaukee. Producer Sean Frasick. Associate producers Fritz Blondone and Kristen Whitaker Hood. Engineer Josh Benishek. And hosts Brian, Dimitri, and Joseph. Every week we produce a new podcast that sheds light on religion, secularism, and mythology. If you enjoy this show, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mythicist. Mythicist Milwaukee also brings major secular conferences and debates to the Milwaukee area, along with community events, both local and online. To support us in bringing future events, become a member at mythicistmilwaukee.com to receive member-only benefits. You can also visit mythicistmilwaukee.com and hit the donate button located at the bottom of each page to place a financial donation amount of your choice. And now, the closing theme, written and performed by Shelley Siegel.
There was a time when everyone believed Helios in the sun, Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? You know they are all myths, and who will be the next to die? There was a time when everyone believed Helios in the sun, Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? You know they are all myths, and who will be